Hey, shalom. Glad you guys made it. Hi, Gary, servant of Hashem. Tet, Mentat assassin. Troy, Brooke, Julie, Stephen, Gabrielle, Brenda, and Devorah. Glad you all could make it. And, oops, hold on. I don't want, why is that showing up there? This is, oi, hold on just a second. You know, I put on focus mode, and that's supposed to do it, but every once in a while the stuff still comes in. So let me just kill Telegram. It does not always behave. There we go. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to say too, thank you for those of you who support our ministry in various fashion. I'm going to be putting up some videos just for you. So if you're supporting through PayPal or over on Patreon, I'll send you a link. And for those of you who are supporting, like who are members of the channel, who've joined the channel here, then I will. Hold on, is there no audio? Oh, there it is. Okay, then I'll that'll be available here on YouTube also for the members. Okay, so that is coming up. Right, I'm just deciding what content to put up there. All right, there's stuff that I don't have on YouTube that. Just to kind of show a little thanks to you guys for caring to support our ministry so I can keep doing this. All right. Let's see. As usual, please make sure to check out my friend, Dr. Dwayne Miller's website and his stuff. And you are currently at the top YouTube channel up there at Hebrew Literacy, but I have another one. It's Torah-PH. If you're interested in more drosh, like sermon type material, we've got most of Genesis covered over there. And also the content is highly indexed. The channel's very searchable over there for subjects and stuff. So if you look at the description on a video, it's going to tell you all the time codes, where certain Hebrew words are discussed, where certain concepts are discussed, etc. So you can just kind of click on it and jump there, right? So that's what I want the whole channel to be like. And someone is helping me to get Hebrew Literacy caught up with that so we can have the nice indices there as well. Okay? Hey, shalom. Let's see. Shalom, Gabrielle, Brenda, Devorah, Lori, Betty, Yvonne, and Chona. Great to have you guys all here. All right, so let's get to it. I wanted to start with a psalm tonight. I like doing this sometimes instead of our opening prayer. Oops, off you go. Let me make that big enough. I prayed about it and I felt like Psalm 14. So let's pray Psalm 14 together. You should be able to see it there on the screen. Hold on, let me close PowerPoint. I don't like having that open while I'm doing stuff. I keep feeling like I should be paying attention to PowerPoint or something. All right. Move it a bit. There we go. That's nice. All right. So this will be our opening prayer. למנצח לדוד, אמר נבל בליבו, אין אלוהים. השחיתו, התעבו עלילה, אין עושה טוב. אדוני משמיים השקיף על בני אדם, לראות, היש משכיל, דורש את אלוהים, הכל שר יחדיו. נאלחו, אין עושה טוב, אין גם אחד. הלא ידעו כל פועלי אבן, אוכלי עמי. Just a note here, if you're following in the Hebrew, this should probably be considered the Phoenician third person. Makes a lot more sense. Achelu lechem, Adonai lo kara'u. Sham, instead of Sham, we consider it the older Shumu, which is like, behold. Pachad ufachad, they formed a cabal. Ki Elohim bedor tzadik, atzat ani tavishu. Ki Adonai machsehu. Mi yitain mitzion Yeshuat Yisrael. Beshuv Adonai shavut ami. Pardon me, amo. Yagel Yaakov Yismach Yisrael. I was very tempted to translate that as we go through, but if I do that, it's going to eat up all of our Exodus time, or a lot of it, because I'm very attracted to the Psalms, and I just want to tell you about so much about it. But we'll put that on the list sometime to go into depth on Psalm 14. Now, in the graphic novel, it's not. We're also going to not be showing that today. Here's why. I'll give you a quick glimpse. This is chapter 23, where we are, and as you see, you got Moshe sitting there thinking, and then here's all the stuff we're. Oh wait, we're on verse 8. Next page. But still, next page is even worse. So here you have like Moshe still thinking, covering his head from the heat, and there's just a bunch of text, so that's not really worth being in the graphic novel. The pictures aren't going to help us that much if it's like that. So instead, we will be in the Koran Tanakh. Let's just be there. Okay, Shemot Kaf Gimel, that's Exodus chapter 23. Verse 8 is where we start tonight, right? I just want to say Mazel Tov to all of you who have stuck with us. You're going through, you're doing the Hebrew word of the day, which I will be releasing after the teaching tonight, today's Hebrew word, and you're sticking with the immersion. That's really great. Shalom, Yaakov. Glad you made it, Achi. Great. Okay, all right. Decent turnout for a Monday morning in the West and Monday evening over here in Asia. Okay. Verse Chait, that's 8. Here we go. Last time we finished by talking about the nuances of atzdik, like to find righteous, to find in the right in a court setting, right? That he will not do that with the rasha, which could mean the wicked or the one who's the loser in the court case, right? So there's some legal nuancing that's probably happening there. And hold on, I just want to get that a bit higher. It's too high. Okay, let's try this. There we go. I think that's better. Okay. Let's go. Veshochad lo tikach. Now a shochad is a bribe. A bribe lo tikach. So this is, in ancient times, a theoretical form would be tilkach. So the verbal root is lakach. Lamed kof chet, right? Lakach, to take. And what has happened is the lamed there has assimilated into the kuf. So we have two kufs. That's why there's the strong dagesh. It's saying, hey, there's a lamed inside over here. Hey, shalom, Michael. So lo tilkach, the tav, reminds us of you. Ata, not ata lakach. You will not take or accept a bribe. A bribe you shall not accept. Ki, we know this. For, or because, hashochad ye'aver pikchim. The bribe or a gift, the gift, ye'aver. So this root is related to the word for blind. And this is a PL form of it. What that means is it's an intense verbal stem. And you can tell by the strong dagesh, the dot that is there in the middle of the vav, right? So ayin, vav, resh, to be blind is the root. And the PL causes an intensive form. So it's not just to be blind, it's to cause blindness. So the shochad, the bribe, yod, tells us he, aver, he will blind, or continual, it's imperfect, he blinds pikchim, the seeing, those who see, those who pokeach. Yeah, let me hop over here. Visalef. Salaf is like to turn. And again, this is a PL. See the dot in the lamed? That's a strong form of it. So it's like to twist. Visalef, and it twists. So yisalef means he is twisting, or he will twist. He will be twisting. The vav here changes the time and makes this into perfect. Actually, it's not perfect. It's not making it perfect here. I wasn't paying attention to context. Here it doesn't. So, and it twists divrei, the words of. So this is from the word davar, which is word. We put in the plural devarim. And remember, when you have a plural ending in im, and you drop that mem, that makes it of. So divrei are words of tzadikim. This is just ones, right? So even the words of just people or righteous people, they're twisted when they've accepted a shochad, a bribe. Yeah, and I need to move this monitor. I'm having trouble seeing. There we go. I can see better what you guys. Okay. Hey, Shalom Elizabeth. Brenda says, like Esau's gift of meat blinded Isaac of the person he was. Ooh, nice. Interesting parallel. Very nice. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Okay. And let's, for those of you who like the trope, we'll go ahead and V'shochad lo tikach ki hashochad ya'aver pikchim v'salef divrei tzadikim. Okay. Next we're on verse tet. That's 9. The ger, now a foreigner, and again, this is a nice word for foreigner. We have other words. Other words for foreigners are nochri. Nochri is usually a bad word. A nochri is a pagan foreigner. Maybe he just came into the land to sell some goods or something, right? But he's a pagan. He's not loyal to the God of Israel. Or a zar. A zar is an alien, right? So his ways are quite different than the ways of the children of Israel. Just realized there's something here bothering me. There we go. But then there is a ger. The ger is the one who he gules. The ger gules. He sojourns in the land, meaning he's happy to dwell with us. He's happy to be with Israel, and over time, I've shared with you guys, this word has changed in meaning and developed in meaning, so that by the time we hit rabbinical Hebrew, ger is a convert. Even that word means, and even in modern Hebrew today, that means convert, right? So he was the foreigner who has attached himself to Israel, right? Or is in the process. He's at least accepted the God of Israel as the true God, right? So I think this would probably be the status of many of our Goyish Christian brothers and sisters, right? Many of them, they are gers, right? They are loyal to the God of Israel, and they're friendly, in the Torah sense of the word. They're friendly to the laws of the land, but they have not yet assimilated. They might not all of them, some, right? They have not yet come in to join us fully by keeping his feasts, learning the language, all that kind of stuff. So they're in the status of friends of Israel, something like that, yeah? Okay. Let's see. Hey, Shalom Annie. Always happy to hear from you. The ger lo tilchatz. So a ger, this is the good kind of foreigner. Lo, not tilchatz. The tav is you, from ata, and lachatz is to oppress. In fact, the word lachatz, we have a noun that comes from this lachatz with a patach, the two horizontal vowels. That means oppression or tyranny, right? So don't do that to the ger. A ger lo tilchatz, a foreigner, you shall not oppress. And by the way, the standard syntax is being violated here. Not violated, but it's a special syntax. Usually, in biblical Hebrew narrative, you want the verb first, and the object follows somewhere, right? Usually it's like verb, subject, object, loosely like that. When we put the object first, this shows there's some oomph, some special emphasis to it. So Hashem is expressing this to Moshe Rabbeinu, and the foreigner, the good foreigner, lo tilchatz, you shall not oppress, right? Why? Ve'atem, because atem, we had this as the Hebrew word of the day last week, y'all, right? Or youths, or youths if you're a New Jerseyan. You all, or in Victorian English, just you. That was the plural, right? You, plural. You all, yourselves, yeda'atem. So yada is to know, and the tem at the end reminds us of the tem in atem. So we really don't even need this word here to express. If Hashem just said yadatem, it means y'all know. You all know. That's the plural ending for to know. Yada is no. Tem tells us you all. Because we have it repeated, it literally says, now you all know. Ve'atem yadatem. So when this happens and you have the pronoun in there, even though it's contained in the verb and you don't need it, this is what we call an emphatic pronoun. It's emphasizing. So we're following through with the emphasis we started with. Now the foreigner, lo tilchat, you shall not oppress. Ve'atem, because you yourselves, yedatem, y'all know. Et nefesh hager, the soul of the ger, of the foreigner, or the anguish or the plight is really what it feels like, the plight of the foreigner, right? Remember, nefesh can mean like life, like the life force that's in you, right? So you're struggling as a foreigner in the land. You don't have all the connections, I mean, I have to say, even as a Jew living in Israel, like if you make Aliyah later in life, if you move there later in life, you immigrate later in life, and you're too old for the army, like when I moved, I tried to join the army, right? I inquired about it. And they were like laughing. Too old. It's not like in the States you can join like up to age 40 or something. So, but in Israel, the society today is such that everything is a kesher, it's a connection, right? And so like, just to get a job, you usually need to use your army buddy connections, right? Everyone was in the army. Almost everybody goes to the army. Just some of the yeshiva bookers don't go. But even now they have Orthodox units, right? So even the yeshiva bookers, a lot of them will go to the army now, right? It's like very, very strict religious regiment, right? So if you come in later as an immigrant and you're trying to find a job, or you're trying, it's very difficult not having those connections. Yeah, so even though you're technically not a foreigner, right? A Jew coming back to the Jews' land is not a foreigner. Even still, you can see what it's like to be. Oh, and even like, I've lived in other places. Yeah, I lived in Switzerland before, and I remember something simple like, I need to get something for my car. Where do you go? I mean, you're used to some society like the States, AutoZone or Pep Boys, or, you just kind of know what to do, where to go online. But you're the foreigner. The simple stuff that people take for granted, you don't know even how to do. And so everything takes hours and hours to accomplish, and people rip you off because you're a foreigner, and just all this kind of. I'm not saying that happens in Israel, but I'm just saying that this is something that can happen quite frequently. Interesting, my foot rug is wet. What in the world happened? Strange. Okay, anyway, after. So, you yourselves know the nefesh, the life force of the ger, of the foreigner. Oh yeah, thank you, Mentat. Yeah, I see 25 watching and 18 views right now. Uh-oh. Ooh, that was close. Everything went dark for a second. I thought we had a computer issue. Praise God, everything's okay. Yeah, please make sure to click like if you like what we're doing, okay? That helps to tell the algorithm, hey, this is decent stuff. Ki, for, or because. Gerim, that's the plural. Foreigners, heyitem. So, haya is the verb, right? Haya, to be or to become. And for those of you who are used to singing Hebrew worship songs, you probably know the word already. Asher haya vehove veyavo, like he who was and who is and will come, right? Is coming, right? So this is the perfect form of that. So heyitem, the tem reminds us of atem, y'all. For y'all were gerim. For gerim were y'all. Again, stressing the ger, keeping the pattern. So, ve'ger lo tilchatz, ve'atem yiratem et nefesh hager, ki gerim heyitem be'eretz Mitzrayim. The foreigner you shall not oppress, for you yourselves, you know the plight of the foreigner. For foreigners, again, it's coming before the verb, so there's emphasis. Foreigners, you were. When I used to teach the Hebrew grammar classes, I would teach my students I'd always say this. You got to think like Yoda. You got to think like Yoda. Foreigners you were. Yes. Right? So just put it backwards, and it works for biblical Hebrew. Where? In Eretz Mitzrayim, in the land of Egypt. So, V'gelo tilchatz, ve'atem yid'atem et nefesh hager, ki gerim heyitem be'eretz Mitzrayim. It's funny, you know, on the word of the day, sometimes people leave comments, oh, thank you for singing, I love the singing, it helps me memorize. And then someone else will leave a comment, why are you singing like a child's thing? You know, it's like, I wish you would just read it. I'm like, oh. So then I stopped singing for a while. And then someone like, I bring the singing back. A bunch of people bring it. It's like, you can't please everybody, you know. So if you're watching the daily shorts, the word of the day, and you're having trouble hearing how to pronounce because I sing it sometimes, I've started putting very accurate subtitles in now. Turn on closed captions, and you will see I spell it out with English words. It'll say Hebrew in brackets, and it says when I'm saying a Hebrew word, it's in quotes. And we're also putting this in several languages too, so we're translating to several languages to try to reach more people. So if you have trouble with the singing, turn on the closed captions. For any of the new stuff, it's all this way. It's always the shorts, not these long 45 minutes. I don't have the time for that to go through and subtitle it and stuff yet. But Bezrat Hashem soon, maybe. Let's see. Yvonne says, how long have you been in the Philippines? Long time. Over a decade. Yeah, long time, Yvonne. Let's see. Julie says, is to be the same as live or alive? No. They look similar, though, Julie. They look similar. Because the hey and the chait look similar. That's why, right? So you'll see forms where sometimes you might think it's the other, but just look closely. If it's got the chait, then it's about living. If it's got the hey, right? So remember, you have your hey, it's like this, right? Well, okay. Pretend my hand doesn't descend so low, okay? You have the hey, and if it connects, it's a chait, right? So the Talmud even warns about this in Tractate Soferim. It warns about being careful not to confuse the hey and the chaits, because they look so close. Also the Reish and the Dalits, and there's some other ones it warns about too. So the Kaf and the Beit, right? So don't worry, you're not the only one. Brenda says, so true that you cannot please everyone. Yeah. So what I did, since more people ask for the singing than those who don't like it, at least representative for those who leave comments and videos, it's very few that someone says, oh, why are you singing? I don't like it. So I'm going with the singing usually, if it's Torah. If it's Torah and there's time. Sometimes the verse is too long, and we only have 60 seconds. Otherwise, it doesn't qualify as a YouTube short. So actually, it has to be a little bit under 60 seconds. I experimented. I uploaded one that was exactly 60 seconds before, and YouTube said, nope, not a short. Yeah, you're welcome, Julie. Well, I need a drink real quickly. Bear with me. All right, thank you. All right, decent amount of viewers live right now. Everybody watching, please make sure to click like, Click the thumbs up. Click the thumbs up if you don't mind. Verse Yod, that's 10. Sheishshanim tizra et artzecha. We'll stop there. Sheishshanim. Now the Vav, I think you're probably learning to be flexible with the Vav as you see me being flexible with it, right? So with the Vav, it can mean and, but, if, then, when, then, because, etc. Right? So you really have to be flexible with the conjunction. And what's cool, by the way, I don't know if Jacob is in here in the house. There was a Yaakov, but I think that's a different Yaakov. Jacob, who's fluent in Koine Hebrew, Koine Greek. You've probably noticed, right? Like in the Synoptic Gospels, it seems like almost every verse starts with Kai, right? In the Greek, that's because, right, Vav is Kai, right? Or sometimes De. Kai, Vav also translates to De, right? So that's what's happening. So even the style of the Greek in many books in the New Testament, the Apostolic writings, they're following this Hebrew pattern, right? It's very highly Semitized. Ah, yes, Brenda, I remember that choo-choo train. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Putting together clauses and tying them together. Gary says, like minding P and Q. Right. Exactly. All right. Let's see. All right. V'sheish. Now, now, that's another meaning. I'm going to say now, sheish. Sheish means 6 shanim, 6 years. Tizra. Now, this verb you could totally figure out if you've been doing your Hebrew words of the day, even though I haven't taught this verb yet, because it's so close. I'll give you the sign language first, and let's see if you remember. I taught you the noun zera. So here's the sign for zera. Remember that? Zera. Last week, zera. Zera means seed, although the sign is seeds. You're like dropping the seeds. Zera. So this is the verb from that. The tav reminds us of ata, you. You shall zera, right? But it's a little slighter, zera. Tizra. So you shall sow. You shall sow seeds is what it's implying. You shall sow, right? So now, Sheishshanim, 6 years, tizra, you shall sow seeds, or just sow, we'll say sow. Et, we don't translate, artsecha. So this is the eretz of cha, the land of you, your land. And in case you're wondering why is it here? Well, I've mentioned a few times, so hopefully you guys will start seeing the pattern soon. If you have a noun that starts with the sound, like melech, king, and you put a suffix on it, the becomes ah. So melech is king, but my king is malki. Your king is malkecha, right? Sefer, a scroll or a book. Safri, my scroll. Safrecha, your scroll or your book, right? Eretz, land. Artsecha, it's usually artsecha, your land, but here it just changes a bit because of the wishbone, the little thing that looks like a wishbone, the etnachta. He causes a lengthening because the way this was memorized in ancient times. Remember, everybody couldn't afford a Bible. Very few. You had to be a millionaire to have a Bible back in the day, right? So what people would do is when they had access to the text, they would memorize with song how to remember. And that's why we still sing today, right? And so this etnachta has a special oomph to it, a big punch, and then there's a pause. The Talmud says that this one, the etnachta, owns the preceding words, right? They belong to him. We would think of it as ending a clause, right? So, for example, Sheishshanim tizra et artsecha, right? So you da, because it gets that extra oomph, the vowel often lengthens. It's called, if you want to Google it, it's called pause, like press pause or the pausal form, okay? And it's kind of interesting because most languages have accented words, right? Where we accent one of the syllables in the word. But biblical Hebrew, in the way that our tradition maintained it, has also an accented word within the sentence. There's usually at least two. There's the middle, not the middle, the one that ends the first clause. And then if it's a very long sentence, you can have more than one of these etnachtas. Some people call them etnachs, right? Or atnachta. They have different names. And then there's the very last word that has a suluk, it's called, a little vertical bar, okay? And that also gets lengthened. So if you look at that and you're like, wait a second, that didn't fit the pattern you're telling me, usually it would be artsecha, but this became artsecha, right? Usually we would have schwa, that's a vocal schwa. But the vocal schwa, which is just a little, it's like a half in ancient times, lengthened to the short segol, right? All right. Hey, Shalom Vivian. Vivian says, is the singing of the musical pitches improvised by you, or are you reading musical notes out? That's a nice question. So there are different nusachs, different traditions for this. I sing it the way that I was taught for my bar mitzvah, when I was preparing for my bar mitzvah, by my rabbi, by Rabbi Jacob, as he was taught by his rabbi, Max Rothkopf. So this particular tradition that you hear me singing it, no, I'm not ad-libbing. Each of these signs, they're called ta'amim. It's a ta'am, which is to taste or to feel in Hebrew. Oh, interesting. In Russian also, chustvavat, like chustva. A feeling can also mean a taste, right? So anyway, it's a taste or feeling. And so really what they do, they give us an extra traditional layer. Have you ever been texting somebody or you're writing back and forth on Telegram or something and something gets lost? Like one of you ends up thinking the other person was being ticked off or they're being angry or, something can be missed when it's only words, right? The ta'amim, they add something of what was missing, right? The tradition of what was missing. So they kind of tell us, for one, they function as punctuation, right? They function as semicolons and commas and periods like we have in English, right? For two, They also combine. They tell us when words are very closely related, right, in concept. Like here, sheish, 6. If you want to find out 6 what, see this guy, he's open, he's pointing the other way. 6 what? Well, 6 years, right? These two are kind of coupled together, right? And then, so they're also called sense signs because they restore some of the sense. So, for example, the Goyim, the Gentiles, they'll translate in their Bibles regarding Jacob, our ancestor. When Isaac asks him, "Who are you?" he says, "It is I, Esau, your firstborn," right? Okay. But the sense signs in our tradition tell a different story. If you follow the sense signs, he says like this: "It is I, pause. Esau is your firstborn," right? They translate the same way. They're written the same way in Hebrew. But the sense signs help restore the tradition of he's trying very hard not to deceive his father. But his mother commanded him. She gave him a mitzvah, right? So this old idea that he's a usurper and he's a thief and all this is just patently false. This is lashon hara, wicked speech, slander against Jacob, our ancestor. In fact, the Torah tells us he was an ish tam, which means a perfect man. He was a perfect man. So, I mean, as perfect as any man can be, right? So let's be careful with all the idea. There's this like false conception among those who don't have the tradition behind the text that he actually was a bad guy until he wrestled with the angel, punch, and then suddenly that's like his salvation experience. Now he's Israel, la 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 la. But God still calls himself the Elohei Yisrael and the Elohei Yaakov, the God of Jacob, and the Avir Yaakov, the mighty one of Jacob, right? Because Jacob is the same guy. It wasn't a salvation experience. He's the same good guy that he was before, right? So anyway, so good question. These serve as musical notation. Now there are different traditions, right? And the different traditions sing them according, in all likelihood, none of them date back the way to sing it the way that we had a couple thousand years ago, right? So, and we know that these existed in the time of Yeshua, right? In the time of the Messiah. Why? Because they have discovered fragments from a Septuagint in Greek, right? In Jewish Greek translation, the Jewish translation into Jewish Greek of the Bible, and in the Septuagint, they had put in that Septuagint fragment, they had spaces between the words, right? Like little space, long space, some written very close together, like they're one word, and it turns out that these spaces correspond to the way we treat the ta'amim, the space that is implied between them. If they're close together, there's a big gap, etc. So even though these particular signs were only written down about 1,200 years ago by the Tiberian school, the Masoretes, right? The tradition is much older, at least into a century before the Common Era, but probably even further. So very, very nice way of maintaining not only to remember the text, but the sense that is lost when you have text only, right? You can fight about a text when really you may be sending something loving, right? So this preserves our tradition in the text, the understanding of the sages. Hey, shalom, Sharon, glad you made it, Achi. All right. Oh, cool, Brenda saw an ad. All right, cha-ching. There's 2 cents, baby. All right. For those of you who don't send any support, I would really appreciate if you watch the ad so we can get a couple cents from it. That'd be kind of nice. And also, maybe to tell the YouTube algorithm they should promote our stuff to other people. I want to do more material from you. I want to do more, right? So the more that we can grow the ministry, get this out there, the more time I'll be able to commit to doing this a whole lot. Okay, let's see. All right. Ve'asafta, so asaf is to gather or to collect, right? Asaf, you could think of Aesop's fables maybe, or like he's collecting fables from other people. He's asafing. Why did they call him Asaph? Oh, old Asaph, he just asaphed everything. Everything he heard, he asaphed. If that helps you remember. So asaf is to gather, to collect. The ta at the end reminds us of the ta in ata, you. Okay. Asafta means you collected. It doesn't have to be past, okay? I want to make this very clear. In biblical Hebrew, we don't really have present tense, future tense, past tense. Instead, we have, it's more about whether an action is completed or not. So prophecy can look, if you're like a modern Israeli and you're from the farm and you didn't grow up religious and you look in the Bible, something can look to you like it's quote, past tense, because modern Hebrew is influenced by European languages, right? But in the Bible, the quote unquote, what looks like past tense, the perfect, that can be a prophecy. If God makes a prophecy which is unchangeable, right? It's called the prophetical perfect, right? It's going to look like the past tense. And some English translations capture this, like King James often will translate something and it looks like past tense in English because they're trying to be true to the Hebrew text when it's clearly a prophecy about the future. Okay, so that's why I try to avoid saying past. Now, often, asafta, it means you did it, right? You collected. But it could also be saying, may you collect. May it be that you will collect, the precative perfect, right? Or it can, yeah, there's other meanings. But the vav here is changing the time, changing the aspect to make it imperfect. So the asafta, so now you are collecting or you will collect. Et, why do we collect? We don't translate et. Tavua tah. Tavua is the yield, like the yield or the yield of the produce, right? Tavua. And you'll remember when we end in an ah sound, if we change it to a t sound, that's how you say of. So the tavua t of ah, of her. Why is it a her? Because land is feminine. Eretz. Okay, that's why it says her. Ve'asafta et tevuata. So Sheishshanim tizra et artzecha. For 6 years you shall sow your land. Ve'asafta et tevuata. And you shall gather her produce. The tevuah of her. Okay? Or ve'asafta et tevuata. Vivian says, so all the marks which are not vowels indicate how to sing the words. Not all of them. One is a dagesh that tells you there's a doubling of a letter there, whether strong or weak. One is just a virtual doubling. We have another sign that tells you there should be a dagesh, but it's not being read. That's a rafe, although that's usually just in prayer books. There's, what else do we have? We have the sof pasuk here. This is telling you it's the end of the verse. And we have a meteg. This guy here is meteg, which means like the bridle in a horse's mouth. And that just means that the accent is about 2 syllables later, right? And that it's an open syllable. It's open, right? So tevu, that's an open, that's requiring a long vowel there. So there's the u, okay? And this is a makef. That tells you the words are read together. So apart from the vowels and apart from those signs I just mentioned, then yes, all the rest of them are what we call the ta'amim. They tell you how to sing, they tell you about the grammar, and they tell you our tradition of how to interpret. They add sense to what you're reading. They're called, there's an author, recently I taught my advanced Hebrew students, maybe about recently, half a year ago, we started going through, I bought a book for them called The Basics of Biblical Hebrew Accents, I think. I can't remember the author right now. He's quite famous. It's an Italian name. Anyway, he's the one who coined the phrase sense signs. I like that very much, sense signs. It captures the sense of what is being said. Okay? Let's see, Gary says, we almost had a church split because the bulletin said, Bob and Betty love hurting people. Ah, that's a great example. That's a great example. Thanks for that, Gary. Shawn says, wouldn't it also be likened into how the person is seeing the vision? Are you talking about the prophetic perfect? Yeah, that makes sense. I like that, Shawn. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good justification for why we make it sealed complete, right? But it also can function as what we call the precative perfect. That's a bit more advanced, but that's like a gentle, it's like a gentle imperative, right? You know, like, shibarta kol oivei, pardon me. Like, oh, that you would destroy, that you would break to pieces all of my enemies, oivai. Yeah, I was going to say oive, such and such, but that's fine. So, oh, that you would, right? When oftentimes people are stuck and they think it has to mean you did it, right? It doesn't have to mean that. It can mean you did it and you will do it, and it'll be completed and done, or please do it, right? Hebrew syntax can get a little bit tricky depending on what genre you are reading, right? Okay. Oh, we are in time. 39 minutes. Good. I need a drink. You can take a look at verse 11 if you like. Well, I turn off my camera for our Russian and Ukrainian former Soviet Union friends who might be watching because it's very rude in their culture to drink out of a bottle in front of people. And we do have some viewers from those countries, so. Okay, great, Sean. All right, verse 11. V'hishvi'it tishmetena unetashta ve'acheluhu evyonei amecha ve'yitzcham yochal chayat hasadeh. Wow, it's a very long one. Ken ta'aseh lechamecha lezeitecha. All right, way back here. Verse 11. V'ha-sheve'it. Now, the sheve'it. So, sheva, you might know, sheva means 7. And when you put it at the end of a number, that makes it like th in English, 7th. So now the 7th, so we just talked about what? Sheishshanim. For 6 years, we're sowing seed, right? And gathering in all the yield of our crop. V'ha-sheve'i, so probably I'll say, but the 7th, tishmetena. So shamat is to let drop, like let fall, okay? So the tav is you, and the na is referring back to the eretz, the land. So you shall let na, her, fall. Let it fall. Onetash ta. Natash is like to leave unkempt, right? Like if your hair's all messy, or say you got a kid, his hair's all messy, and you see it, leave it. You natashed it, you know. So if your name's Natasha, or you know someone named Natasha, imagine her hair's all messy, right? She's been natashed. She left it. She didn't get it neatly made, right? Okay. With land, it's like to leave fallow, right? So and natashta, that means you left fallow, you left unkempt, and then the at the end is her. Onetashta, and you left her unkempt. Okay. The achelu. Achal, you know, it's to eat. Okay. And the at the end is plural. Achelu is they ate, and the vav changes the time here. Ve'achelu, and they will eat. Okay, so who's the they? Coming up. Subject comes up to the verb. Evyonei amecha. Evyon is a needy person. And Evyon, they're needy. Maybe think about the Ebionites. The Ebionites were needy of some theology. If you know the history. The Ebionites, they needed some theology, right? So, Evyonim is plural. Needy ones. And then we drop the mem, and that makes it of. So, Evyonei, the needy ones of Am is people of Cha, of you. Evyonei is the Evyonim of Amecha, of your people. And Yitram. The root here is Yeter, or Yeter. Yeter. So, Yeter, yeah, also Ted. I'm not seeing a full amount of likes. Pay attention to admin Ted over there. So Yeter is like excess. This is where Moshe's second father-in-law gets his name from. Well, some say first, depends on if you believe on the book of Yasha or not. Yeter is where Yithro comes from, right? This was a th in ancient times. So Yeter, Yithro is like his excess. Another meaning for the word is like the cream of the crop, the best. Not just that it's the excess, but it's the best. It depends how it's used, right? It doesn't mean both things at the same time. The context tells you, is it the excess or is it the best, right? So, or like excellent, right? That which is excellent. So his mommy, she didn't name him like excess. I got 12 kids already. He's Yithro. He's his excess. She named him his best, right? His best. So the mem at the end is plural for theirs. So Yitram is their excess. The Yitram in their excess, tochal. Achal is to eat. The tav, now this could mean you will eat, talking to a man, or it means she will eat. The form looks the same on those verbs. Sorry about that. Yeah, surplus, Gary. Absolutely, surplus. Yes. So who's going to eat it? Who's the she? Chayat hasadeh. Chayat, this is an animal of the sadeh, the field. And you'll notice the word for animal, it's chaya. Chaya, it's very close to the word for life, right? It's where life comes from, like chai. If you've ever seen somebody with a chai, like a golden chain, it's got the Hebrew chet and a yod on it, or a bumper sticker or something, that's life, right? Life. Or chaim. Chaim. Usually life occurs in the dual, right? Ayim means two of the things. There's two lives. And I think that's because we have two lives, right? One here and the one in the world to come. So the chayat, the animal of hasadeh, the field. Oh, we're at 45 minutes, so I think this will be our last verse, all right? Okay. Kain ta'aseh. Kain, such. Someone pointed out last time, isn't that yes in modern Hebrew? Right, it's yes in modern Hebrew. It's not in biblical Hebrew. It means such, or like thusly, if it's an adverb. Thusly, ta'aseh. Asa, you guys know, right? Asa is make or do, right? Make or do, asa. I just had that in the review yesterday. And the tav is you. By the way, if you don't like the reviews, where I go through and I do 4 or 5 words that we've done in the past, but I'm reviewing them, you might want to watch it anyway, because when I first started the word of the day, I wasn't teaching the sign language. But whenever I review a word, I make sure to put the sign in there. So if you like learning the American Sign Language that goes along with the biblical Hebrew words, then maybe you check it out, yeah? And then you can still learn something from it. Brendan says, aw, I like that, thank you. Ta'aseh, can such to, you will asa, you shall do. So ta'aseh, le, to, charmecha. This is another word, like I told you, the words that start with an eh. We had eretz, is land, became artsecha, your land, and kerem becomes karmecha, your vineyard. And by the way, this is the form that usually eretz would take. It would have these two, like, colon-looking things underneath it, the schwas, right? So usually eretz would be artsecha, just like karmecha, your vineyard, right? But because it's got the wishbone, the etnachta, he gets a special extra oomph for memorization purposes, right? Remember, the Sheishshanim tizra'et artzecha. That's how we memorized it. Okay, a little oomph. Usually the word would be artzecha, just like this. If this one had the wishbone there, this would also change to that vowel, the upside down 3 dots. It'd be lechamecha, but instead it's just lechamecha, right? Just a little bit of lechamecha, just a little eh. Okay, your vineyard. Forward to your vineyard. Good. Julie likes the weekly review. All right, Baruch Hashem. Lezeitecha. This word is the word zayit. Zayit means olive, or an olive grove, an olive tree grove. And it becomes zait, just like bayit. You know the word bayit? Bayit, which is house, right? House or home. Bayit. Well, we change it to beit when we want to say house of. Like Bethlehem in English, it's beit, house of lechem, house of bread. So the same thing with zayit. Shemen zayit is olive oil. Zayit becomes zait when it's olive of. So the olive grove of cha. And look, the same thing happened here. Look, just like we had with the wishbone, the vocal schwa, the eh, lengthened to the segul, eh. Same thing here. Instead of zaytecha, it becomes zaytecha because of the suluk. It's the last word in the verse. Those are the words that get the lengthening. The one that's the end of a clause and the one that's the end of the sentence. Great. Brenda likes the weekly review too. Good. Sometimes I do it on Saturday and on Sunday. Give you a couple of them, right? So, because really, reviewing is just as important as learning the words, guys. You got to keep that vocab active. Keep it active. And you guys are going to really be happy you did, because when we get around to the time that I say, okay, buy your Hebrew Readers Bibles, and we're going to start using those for another kind of course I'll do with you guys. Bli neder, Bezrat Hashem. We'll do that. So we'll open up, I'll put it on the screen, the Hebrew Readers Bible, and I'll get your driver's license for it with you, okay? We'll go through it, and I'll be reminding you, see, you know these words from the review, blah, 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 blah. And then when you come to one you don't know, we'll look it up. It'll be on the bottom, so you can start really doing it on your own in that way. All right, so that's the end of verse 11. I had thought we'd make it through 12, but I kind of did a lot of blah, blah, I think. So there we are. That's the end of tonight's or this morning's course, depending where you are. We will continue tomorrow in Exodus. The next day is 1 Kings, and the next day is Psalms. So keep studying your Hebrew, keep reviewing your vocabulary. Don't be frustrated if you're just new and you're jumping in now. It's okay. These lessons are for everybody. This is immersion with some explanation as well, right? So I hope you guys will make sure to leave comments in the bottom if you have any comments or questions. And you can join us over at Hebrew Literacy if you have the Telegram app. I will put that up here. I should have asked Tet to do it, but I'm not sure that she's got the link for that offhand. t.me/Hebrew Literacy. You can join us over there. Join the group. Everyone over there is interested in biblical Hebrew. And I'll catch you guys later. Shalom, shalom.